everybody, and happy Friday to you. I almost said Monday. Oh my goodness. Here we are. It's Friday. It's been a week, everybody, right? Very interesting energy this week, and I'm really enjoying so many deep, beautiful, meaningful conversations that we've had here on the Breakthrough Show Network this week. Thrills my Aquarian soul to the core to have these conversations. So, really excited to be here with you today. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and we have an extraordinary guest with us today for the Breakthrough Show. Our guest was born and raised in Santiago, Dominican Republic, and he is a true embodiment of resilience and transformation. He is a global water ambassador, embodiment coach, multidimensional entrepreneur, ordained minister, animal activist, singer, performer, artist. Is there anything he can't do? I don't know. But we are used to attracting all of the multifaceted, multidimensional, multi-talented individuals here on the Breakthrough Show Network. He has graced some of the world's most prestigious stages, including the Walt Disney Concert Hall and the Kia Forum, where he performed with the Gay Men's Chorus of Los Angeles. Recently, he joined Hanna Becker's team as the resident healer at the Limitless Lounge. And I would say, I may be a little bit biased here, but I would say the most important thing that I want to share is that he is a brand new host here on the Breakthrough Show Network as well. So his show will be premiering in July. So stay tuned for all of that delicious and yummy announcements coming very soon. All of that being said, I want to invite you to put your virtual hands together and please welcome the incredible Jean Carlo Tavarez to the show. I am so excited to have you on the show today. Welcome.
I'm like, ooh, wow, what a badass introduction. Who's that? I'd like to meet him.
I say that all the time. Anytime someone introduces me, I'm like, who's that? What are you talking about? I love it. But that it feels so good to be recognized in that kind of way, right? Because it's true. It's true things. But, sometimes we don't put ourselves into that spotlight. And so it's nice when somebody else does that for us because it reminds us, oh, I am kind of a badass over here.
And when we trigger our partners or the kids or whatever, it doesn't feel like like that sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm thrilled that you're here today. I would love for you to start out by sharing with everyone where you're joining us from today, and then what that word breakthrough means to you in your life, Jean Carlo.
I'm in Lake Elsinore, California. And let me feel. Breakthrough means to remember, to
Ooh.
that remembrance of who we are. And just like I was sharing with you before coming live, last night I was just having so much remembrance of who I am and having so many downloads, and it's connected to water and the whales and the orcas and the dolphins. And I'm part of this community. I'm part of a million communities. And this community on WhatsApp, suddenly this guy called Fabian posted retreat with the dolphins. And when he posted that and I saw those words, he just hit me like it does so many times intuitively. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to reach out to him and see what is this about. Because I could feel that it was like that kind of retreat with dolphins that is like connected to Atlantis and Lemuria and those ancient civilizations that many of us come from. Like me, for example, that I'm a Lemurian being, and in fact, I used to be a Lemurian priestess, a female, not a male, and my name used to be Lydia.
Wow.
So I'm in the process of remembering all of that, and I was just seeing and feeling how the way my mission looks like right now is gonna look completely different, and it wants to shift into it wants to have an evolution into something completely different. So I'm like, oh my
Mhm.
god, like, what's going on?
Yeah, I love that. And I think that maybe the first time that we've ever heard that word remembering being associated with the word breakthrough here on the show. And I love that. Um, that sort of marrying of words together, because I think what you're saying is so important. I know that so many of our viewers are little babies. I mean, if we're going to be honest here, I think so many of us are little babies on our spiritual journey, because there's it. I mean, if we're talking about things being limitless, that we're all little babies. So let's just start there. However,
Mhm.
I know that there are some people that a lot of people that watch the show that are just barely dipping their toes into that woo pool, if you will. And so even if you might be struggling to think about some of these ancient civilizations and whatnot that Giancarlo is referring to today, remember that limitlessness in your mind today as we go through the show. And if energy truly is limitless and constantly, creating, it's a creative thing, then couldn't it be possible that there were other beings and other civilizations and other things that our brains just cannot fathom? Right. And so I love you putting that word remembering in, because I think that's such an important part of this journey. You're not just adding in information, right? You have to kind of go back sometimes in order to move forward.
Yep. And even if you look at the screen, like, what does it look like? These little cubes, or our cell phones, or our TVs,
Yeah.
even our houses, our buildings, they're boxes, because
Mm,
they have been programming us systematically. So we disconnect from that remembrance, and as a byproduct, are not able to enjoy a life of breakthroughs and miracles and unlimited opportunities
yeah.
and health. I don't know, whatever that may look like for you and for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just so powerful and so unlimited. And collectively, we're being called to really remember. And as you were talking, it was brought to my remembrance how in Florida many years ago, in 2015, actually, I ended up being part of an ayahuasca ceremony. Let me
Mm,
bring it back a little bit. I was in New York in 2012, 13, and I knew there was more. I could feel there was more. I felt I was being called to more. My life didn't look like and felt like what I knew in my heart and in the remembrance of my body
mm,
that I was supposed to live. My
mm,
relationship with my ex boyfriend, my ex partner, was a disaster.
mm,
And I went to, I believe it was Brooklyn, in Brooklyn, New York, to my friend's Mary's house. And I was just expressing to her, and we were connecting. And suddenly she said, I feel you need to experience an ayahuasca ceremony. And I was like, what the fuck is that? That just hit me like a freaking bullet in my like a freaking bullet in my body. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what that is. And I
yeah.
just know that I need to experience that. I
Mm,
can feel in every pore of my being and my soul that that is my right next step. And many times I'm feeling intuitively that we're not able to be aware of what are our right next steps, because we are so used to being inside of the boxes of the limitations and perceptions of our minds and all the
yeah.
programs that we have been coded with since childhood and since generations. Because even trauma is from a level at least, trauma is a programming that has been installed in
Right.
our multidimensional bodies technologies to keep us living a certain paradigm in a
Mm.
certain timeline.
Right.
So I was like, okay, maybe when I'm able to travel in 5 years, I started reasoning it. Maybe I'll go to Brazil or Colombia and end up with a wonderful shaman in a beautiful community setting where I will experience ayahuasca. And I have noticed the pattern. Just notice the patterns in your life, guys. What are the patterns, the cycles that keep repeating?
Mm.
We will really understand the ways we're supposed to allow the current and the flow of our lives,
Right.
just like Mama Ocean.
Mm.
Anyways, I ended up breaking up with my partner. I was called by Teal Swan and her team to be one of their volunteers in a workshop that she was going to host in Orlando, Florida. And then after that, out of the blue, I ended up in a huge mansion in a city called um, David, Florida. I didn't have the money, nothing. Like I was again homeless. I have experienced a lot of homelessness throughout my life. When I moved here, when I moved to the United States, um, today before the show, I also realized the reason why when I would be homeless, I would always be called to be close to the ocean,
Mm.
Mama Ocean, like I called her, is because water holds memory.
Mm.
Water
Yeah.
is the conductor and the catalyst to help us remember.
Mm.
So I was being called by my higher self, by life, by God, by the universe to get out of those fucking boxes that I was so used to living and start that process of remembering. And I feel
Mm.
that's a continuous process. And like many
Right.
people call it awakening or death and rebirth, or I had a car accident, or I broke my foot, or whatever it may that may look
Yeah.
like for us. Many of the times, unfortunately, and because we are in so much resistance to change,
Mm.
it needs to come in a abrupt way that is like, okay, motherfucker, you're not going to listen to the call. You're gonna
Right.
break your feet, or
Mm.
you're gonna have an accident, or you're going to experience something that is gonna be the contrast that is going to allow you to live a life that is in alignment to the blueprint that you came here to live and to embody that doesn't look like anything the way
Right.
we're living right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that ayahuasca ceremony, suddenly I saw my consciousness inside of these big tubes, huge tubes, and I could see and feel and this deep knowing and remembrance that those were some of the programmings that my consciousness
Mm.
was placed into, so I didn't remember who I was. In fact, back then I was more in my love and light. I wouldn't curse like I do now. I wouldn't express my sensuality or sexuality or many different
Mm.
aspects of who I am freely without feeling shame or hiding myself or blah blah blah
Right.
blah blah. And then some of those tubes broke and my consciousness, my energy, my essence, my core came out of that. And the next
Yeah.
day, I was, I felt that so much more of me was present in my body, and I could not stop fucking cursing. It was fuck this, fuck that. And I was like, geez, what's
Yeah.
going on? It feels like a part of me that I have
Yeah.
neglected or suppressed for so long is like
Mm.
here again. And
Yeah.
honestly felt good. And it was also a process of like integrating and just observing from so many different angles how
Right.
more of me was coming online.
Yeah. And it's interesting how that happens, how sometimes, for you, it was. was a shift into cursing a lot, and that became an expression. And when you were on Project Joy recently, we talked about expressing yourself authentically, and you may even find later that how you express yourself through language, that'll shift again. Like every time you come in these new awarenesses, it's just about being open and allowing what comes through to just flow, right? Just
Yeah.
allow it to happen. And I love how you talk about being in boxes as well. And it's sort of looking behind the scenes here at our StreamYard behind the camera here, and how we're in boxes here on the show. And but even if we feel like we're in a box, we always need to remember that we have the ability to change the view at any time of these boxes that we're in,
Exactly.
and so that's such a huge part of it and everything as well. But I'm excited because you mentioned so many little Easter eggs of your journey in that beginning part of the show. We're going to take a really quick break, say hi to everybody that's joining us when we come back, and we're going to take a deep dive into the journey that is Jean Carlo Tavarez. We'll be right back after this.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to this episode of The Breakthrough Show with my very special guest, Jean Carlo Tavarez, joining us from out on the West Coast in Cali. I want to say hi really quickly to all of our friends joining us out there today live. Miss Teresa is here. Devon is here. Yes, very excited. Miss Brittany is out there. Happy Friday, Miss Brittany. Yes, loving all of this for Jean Carlo. And Devon said, so much of our reality is truly dependent on how much we live in allowance. I love how through telling your story, you're receiving so much remembrance. Allow that story to flow. Love it. Brittany said, self-expression is so important. It's how our soul speaks. I love that. Love it. And we have lots going on. Love all of the conversation out in the comments today. You guys keep the questions and comments coming along today. I'm excited, Jean Carlo, to dive in a little bit to your story, which is something we didn't really get to do a whole lot on Project Joy because we're on the espresso over there on that show. So talk to me about the first time that you experienced homelessness.
Let's see from which level. I feel the first time that I experienced homelessness was when, as the universe, I decided to separate or to incarnate into this expression of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And also Another, even getting out of my mother's womb and coming into this reality feels like a homelessness, or like a ooh, like getting out of the womb, getting out of home.
Mm,
Even when I was in Lemuria and then coming here. So for me, it doesn't just look like when I was homeless in the physical in this incarnation, because I'm able to feel and to remember many other lifetimes. To me, it looks and feels like all of that. And also, let's see, when was the first time? To me, the first time that I feel that I experienced homelessness was when I felt disconnected from my parents when I was a little baby and a little kid.
mm,
Even when my mother had me a C-section, that that still registers as trauma and as
mm,
disconnection and as abandonment and as a lot of frequencies that even manifest right now. And that's why I was a match energetically to even being homeless. Another time, when I was actually 19 in Dominican Republic, my father and I got into a fight because he used to threaten me,
mm,
and since I was a little kid, and then he would tell me, "Oh, so you want to fight then?" And I would just swallow that and just suppress that and feel it just felt super hurtful. And that's part of the contrast of my life. Like, my life has not been all rainbows and butterflies at all, actually. um,
right.
so when I was 19, that we got into that fight, I was like, okay, I'm out of here. I don't want to be around you. I don't want to be in this chaotic home. And a friend let me stay in his house for a little bit. And then for a little bit, I kind of was like going to different places. And then my mother helped me rent a room. And then it felt like homelessness a little bit.
Mm,
And when I moved to United States, when I was 21, 22, I experienced homelessness. And then throughout many years, I experienced a lot of homelessness, actually, in Florida, in New York, in places that I don't even remember, to be honest. So it
yeah.
has been a long journey to actually help me embody it. It was like I had this energy and this frequency of like, what is the word that I want to use? What is another word for like a homeless person? Like an orphan. I
Mm,
had this frequency of being an orphan that would make me a match to being homeless.
mm, yeah.
So it has been a long healing journey of my whole life, and even more like since I was 17, I became really, really addicted to healing.
Mm,
Now I'm 40, and now we live in a beautiful home, and that's not no longer my experience. And
right.
when I was in Florida, in a city called Delray Beach, that I was
Hmm.
actually homeless for like 6 months. Even before, I was homeless here in California for almost a year. The ocean, Mama Ocean, started calling me to go to the ocean, and
Mm,
she would tell me, "Come sing to me, come heal me." And if it was such a strong calling that I would be sometimes even 8 hours on the beach, just swimming and connecting with her and sending her healing and doing prayers and singing and just remembering. It felt,
right.
no, now that I look at it, it was like, because to me, the ocean is like the cosmic womb on Earth. It's a womb. It's like the amniotic liquid,
Yeah.
that's called.
Yeah.
Um, it's then some weeks after that, it came out in all the newspapers in Florida that there was a petroleum spill that was hurting the coral reef, that was killing animals and all that jazz.
Mm,
And before I even knew about that, I met this lady. in the ocean, and she started telling me about the dolphins and the whales and the sharks, and how they help us with their frequency just to keep the world flowing, to keep the world
Mm.
living, thriving. And she told me of this water ceremony that they were going to be celebrating in Delray Beach, actually in a park really close from. I used to sleep in the ocean, in the woods, and in
Mm.
between the trees. And that was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life.
Mm.
There were elders that came from Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, from tribes, and they came with prayers to help heal the water. Hundreds of people. I have a freaking feeling that even Gilly Torres, that is now part of the water business, that me and Devan Taylor, by the way, is my papi chulo, the one that is commenting here. Thank
Love it.
you for being here, Devan. I love you. Um, yeah, I have a deep feeling that Gilly was at that. I need to ask her. And it was just so beautiful. And it just showed me how the ocean was really calling me. And then
Mm.
it came out in the newspapers how there was this huge like petroleum spill in the waters that was hurting and killing the coral reef and a lot of animals. And I was like, whoa. So really following this intuition like is real. Like
Yeah.
it's a real remembrance.
Yeah, absolutely. I have two sort of different side roads that I want to take with this question about homelessness. The first is we know that there are often many things that can lead to, and I'm referring to the physical homelessness of like not having a home to live in this on this plane. Okay, so we know that there are many layers of things that lead to that, be it relationship issues, financial issues. What are some of those layers that you experienced for you that led to that, to those situations where you found yourself homeless? And what do you think is the maybe one of the biggest lessons that you took away from your time being without a physical home?
Well, all those layers are experience and more. And to me, was a process of deprogramming and healing the traumas,
Mm.
my father wounds, my mother wounds, and to really, it was really a process of remembering again, and it was a process of deconditioning. The universe had me in a process of unlearning all the shit that I thought that was life and that I was programmed with, and I was being brought into remembrance of who I really am. Because as a Lemurian being that I am, I'm more of a feminine kind of embodiment, just like water
Mm.
that is supposed to just flow and allow. And it's like, it's more of a dance through life. And it's more of
Right.
like a felt experience instead of just like what makes sense logically. And every time that I try to put life in a, oh, this makes sense kind of frequency, then things don't flow the way they do when I just allow them.
Mhm.
And when I just follow my intuition, follow the flow. And I even I ask water, okay, mama water, what is the right next step?
Mm.
And then she brings me the people, she brings me the Jessica, she brings me the resources, or the water business, or the breakthrough shows,
Yeah.
or just everything.
Right. Right. The other thing that I wanted to ask you about is, so we know that in language, English not being, English being one of your languages, I know, but we know with each word there are so many different interpretations of the word and meaning and energy behind each word. I loved how you started the homeless conversation with talking about not actually a physical home, but just what it felt like to you, like different times that it felt like homelessness. So I want to kind of switch gears a little bit, because when you were talking about times when you were homeless, but you lived near the water, and you described feeling things that I associate with feeling like home, even though you were not in a home, right? And so I want to talk to you and ask you about what home feels like to you. What does home feel like, and what does home mean to you, other than what we know to be a physical location?
Honestly, homes feels warm. It makes me feel like warm in my body when you ask me that. Home feels like water.
Mm.
Home feels like the ocean. Home feels like nature. Home feels like connection. Home
Mm.
feels like community. Home feels like transparency. Home feels like expressing my emotions openly and freely. Home feels like being my multidimensional self. Home feels like dancing, singing. Home
Yeah.
feels like talking about these subjects with you today.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel about that English saying that we say sometimes, home is where the heart is?
I love it.
You love it.
I love it. And home feels like my heart, and
Mm.
home feels like the hearts of the people that let me connect heart to heart.
Mm.
Like you. From the moment that I met you, I feel like you have allowed me to connect with you heart to heart, and that
Yeah.
I'm gonna start crying. It just feels like home. It feels like that remembrance. It
Mm.
helps me. Those moments of heart to heart connection are priceless. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, they just help me remember that I'm here for deep intimacy with the people, with the soul family that I'm supposed to connect with my inner circles. And that's the
Yeah.
kind of people, the kind of tribe, the kind of clients that I want to be of service to as well.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, y'all. This is the second show that we have just started crying on today. You didn't have to go and get misty, Brittany said. I love it. Yeah, yeah, I feel that so much. And I think, we talked about this on Project Joy this morning as well, about the importance of communication and connection, and that heart to heart feeling that we get, and leaning into the importance of that, and realizing really that that's that sort of feeling isn't promised. We have the opportunity in any given moment to lean into that, and we're not promised that it's going to be here the next. So why not just flow and just go all in, and be into it. It wasn't, I mean, in terms of time, speaking of not being guaranteed time, we know that any particular life can go by very quickly. And it really wasn't that long ago, time speaking, that you were without a physical home. And now here you are doing literally all the things and changing the world for the better and making a difference. Talk to me about some of the tools that you've used over the last few years to really start activating yourself, getting yourself prepared, putting yourself in that right vibration for this life that you've always dreamed of.
When I was a little kid, that I was like 7 or probably younger, I would always tell my mother, "Can we pray? Can we pray? Can we talk to God? Can we talk to Jesus? Can we remember?" Basically, like my soul, parts of my soul, is like it never really forgot or disconnected completely. Because even when I was a kid, I could see energies, I could see dead people, I could feel people's pains or emotions. When I would put my hands on animals or people, they would heal. My father would always ask me to massage his back, and then I would feel this heat and this energy come out of my hands. And then he would pass out and start snoring, number one. And then when he would wake up, he would be like, "Oh my gosh, my back is not hurting anymore." And
Mm.
prayer, asking questions. When
Mm.
we ask questions, the universe brings powerful answers. So also, many times we're not getting powerful answers because we're not asking powerful questions.
Mm. So
So
true.
if we are approaching, what was that?
I just said so true. Like I agree with you. Sometimes it's the questions that we're asking. Yeah.
Yeah, because we have this belief that this is happening to us instead of for us.
Mm.
And like Devan and I were hosting an episode on his podcast, the Devan Tiller podcast, and our guest, Daniela Arango, was saying that things don't happen to us, they happen for us. So it also has to do a lot about reprogramming our beliefs, our
Mm.
core beliefs. Because if we are holding beliefs in our bodies that are sending a certain message to the universe, a certain question, we're going to get that back as our reality.
Right.
If, for example, some of you guys that are in the audience or watching this are holding the belief subconsciously, because it's not even consciously, it's subconsciously in the
Right.
water memories of our bodies. We are 99% water on a molecular level, which means that it makes so much sense why so many of us feel so damn good when we
Yeah.
go to the ocean.
Yes. Yes. We're just part of it. Just dive right in.
So if some of you or any of us have the belief, I hate men, for example, then what do you think is going to be the mirror that is
Mm.
going to reflect and show up in your life? Then
Hmm.
you're going to have a partner or going to have a man that disrespect you, that is emotionally unavailable, that is not really able to be present with you, or that is abusing you or hitting you or punishing you or lying to you. And it's because we have that belief, and all of us have believed, myself included, that it would be more ideal to shift and to do belief work into more empowering ones.
Right. And that's not even a place. I think sometimes when people hear that something's a mirror or that is showing us how we are showing up, that somehow is a place of judgment when we can shift it from feeling judged or somehow like bad or shamed by our part in any given situation. If we can shift out of that into holy crap, I'm empowered, this is empowering for me because I can make better choices, I can focus on better things, I have the power within me to take me out of these situations. It's a beautiful thing that happens because going back to that word limitless, you're able to step into that space of possibilities rather than feeling victimized or stuck by a simple circumstance.
Yes, and also the way to get out of that is to go, the way to heal it is to feel it.
Mm.
Because in order for those memories and those stagnant emotions and frequencies in our bodies need to process it.
Mm.
And the way that our bodies are like our bodies are like antennas that are always processing frequencies and energies. And the word emotion means energy in motion, energy that is moving. So when we suppress our emotion, we're not
Mm.
allowing that energy to move.
Right.
So the way to shift out of that is not to bulldoze that or to reject that or to bypass that or to neglect that or to pretend that it's not there and then jump into positive focus. Is actually to go towards it. Just the same way, for example, when we're cleaning the house, do you just sweep it underneath the rug and pretend that it's not there? And then you're like, "Ooh, my house is so clean."
Listen, we had talked about this during co-working sessions about how, sometimes, somebody's coming over and we're just like, let's just shove everything in the drawer really quick and make it look real pretty. And then we have a bigger mess to deal with later because we've had that over and over and over. Talk about going back to what you were saying before about what patterns are repeating in our lives. We've done that shoving shit
Stop reading
away.
my mind,
So
Jessica.
I'm sorry. We've done that so many times. Now we have an entire room we have to clean out because we've just been shoving shit in the drawers the whole time.
Yup. So we need to look at those patterns. That part, we need to learn to identify patterns. Everything in this universe is patterns. Frequencies are patterns, our cycles, our habits, our ways of relating, of communicating. Are we closing our hearts when something is triggering? Are we pushing away when our loved ones? Are we?
I couldn't.
I
Mandy
love
said
her
I ran
picture
out
too.
of drawers and closets.
That's a really cool picture too. Looks such like Gemini.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, happy birthday to you, by the way. It was just Gemini season, Gemini birthday not too long ago. And there are patterns, and imagine a pattern of being like a container. And inside of that container, there's frequency, there's energy. And that energy gives life to a certain blueprint. So there are certain blueprints that are not empowering and that are not favorable for us to live our best lives. So there are a lot of patterns, for example, in the ways we relate to people, because those are the patterns that we were coded with in our childhoods by our parents or our caregivers or whoever raised us, that are now manifesting in our adulthood. And if we reject and suppress those patterns, our partners and the people close to us are going to manifest them back to us.
Now,
And
look, now you get out of my head because I literally was literally thinking about, as you're talking about all of this, the importance of who we surround ourselves with. Community, our circle, the other people. I mean, it's now you're in my head. Stop it.
Thank you, Tarot Gemini. That's really beautiful of you. I appreciate you.
That's Miss Mandy B out there. Miss Mandy.
Miss Mandy
Love
B.
that. Love that. Yes. Thank you guys so much for interacting out here today. We love that. And all of you, and we love all of you quiet folks out there too. I see you there, but I see you. So when we get into actually, like, if someone was to come to you and say, Jean Carlo, how do I really activate myself into the kind of life that I want to live? When you do these activations that you do in the Limitless Lounge and with your clients and things like that, what are the sort of energies that you're tapping into for an activation in general? Like, you're so good at describing words. Like, what does an activation feel like?
So as I continue to remember who I am, and as I continue just to heal and transmute the densities from my body, my own body, more of my embodiment and more of the blueprint that is in my DNA is manifesting.
Mm,
So my sessions are looking different than what they used to look like, I don't know, some years ago. And now, because I'm a channel also, I'm able to just see, hear, feel. I'm an activator. And what that looks like for me is that I'm able to channel frequencies, and those frequencies, like I was saying, contain certain templates. Our embodiments, we're like a computer, and there are certain programs that are running that are not aligned with the blueprint of who we really are.
mm,
And then to activate our DNAs and our potential and our blueprint and our essence, our authentic selves, we can just turn on certain frequencies that are already in our DNAs. And I see them sometimes. It comes through whales, sometimes it comes through dolphins show up in the sessions, sometimes it's a Lemurian being or a Pleiadian being or an Arcturian being, or sometimes it's more like shamanic energies and ancestor lineage
mm.
energy, or I don't know. It, I just allow it, and at some point, it just starts flowing. And even as we have been speaking, I have seen certain templates flowing and
Mm,
certain activations happening. And it's also connected with holding space with their emotions, helping them heal their traumas, doing inner child work in the form of parts works. Because when we experience trauma, when we forget, our consciousness fragments from the ocean of who we are. So those fragmented aspects or parts get stuck in certain timelines. And that's how, when we start crying or we experience a trigger, then we'll have a memory, because that memory is being activated in our water bodies,
mm.
in our bodies, and then it's coming up to be seen, to be heard, to be felt, to be transmuted, to move that energy,
Yeah.
so that density can be released from our bodies, and then the flow of the current, of the energetic current of who we really are, to flow, and for us to remember in
Mm.
the
We keep circling back around to all these things that
Yep,
we talked
yep.
about at the beginning, but that's how it works over here. You guys know that. And I love describing an act again. You're coming to the show today with information in the form of words that I've never heard associated with other things. And one of those things is the word flow with activation. And I love that for us because we talked about things flowing and how we are water. And so it makes sense that if we are water, mostly water beings, that activation would feel like flow. I mean, it makes sense thinking it of that way. I want to point out really quickly, Brittany was like, Jean Carlo has allowed me to express more spice into my life. He's left me with this spicy energy that is now part of my heart. And I even said that when we knew Jean Carlo was going to start planning for a show here. I'm like, I have this feeling he's going to be the cayenne pepper to our little spice. I love it. I love it. Well, you mentioned seeing different things coming through. So I want to take one more quick break. One of the feelings and activations that we love to bring forth here on the show is one of love. So we're going to listen to the For Love poem. And we're going to come back and talk to Jean Carlo about anything that he might be experiencing in this moment. And of course, you'll learn where you can find him as well. So we'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere.
I shall stand for love, even with a broken soul, even with a heavy heart. I shall stand for love, for the world is wounded, not just my little piece of land, where I am mostly safe, where I am mostly well, but our world, everywhere, every day. I shall stand for love, because we need more light, not more death, not more power, not more bombs. I shall stand for love, so that our children are safe, so that our friends are sheltered, so that our borders are open. I shall stand for love, even with a broken soul, even with a heavy heart.
Welcome back to the Breakthrough Show. Thank you, everyone, for standing for love with us here on the show today. This has been so good, Jean Carlo. I'm literally I'm shaking because it's the cayenne pepper that happens when I have spicy things. So it's great. I would love to know what are some of the different activations that you're feeling for us all here today.
Again, it keeps coming back to that remembrance, to really remember who we are. There are also some densities that want to transmute in some of the ladies' wombs.
Mhm.
There is even healing that is happening in somebody's solar plexus. It feels like a heaviness in somebody's solar plexus in your womb. And when I look at it, it feels like you have even been having troubles digesting your food, and it feels like bloated. Your belly feels like bloated. Let's see what else. I'm seeing that many of you are being called also by the wells and by Mama Ocean to really reconnect more with your water essence. And of course, that's why you're being a match to this conversation and listening to the words coming out of my lips, because I am a water being as well. So if you are here, you are being called in your own unique and authentic way. You are being called to connect more with the ocean, with the body of water that you're supposed to call to connect with. I'm seeing that we are being called to connect with more with nature, and just to take more times to ground, and just I'm seeing even just laying down on the ground, laying down in nature. Let's see. There are patterns of there are density, there are sexual traumas that want to be healed. Many of you, and that's why you feel that spiciness energy, is because your sexual traumas are being healed, and more of your colors, your sensuality, more feeling safe in your body, in who you are, in your beauty, in your expressions are coming more online. Even your root chakras, your sacral chakras are being activated and are being just clear. It's like a tune up. So those are some of the things, some of the templates, some of the activations that I'm seeing. You can feel even right now in your womb, in your belly, somebody, I can feel in your, what is this called? The tubes, like the fallopian tubes. I'm
Mm.
seeing it's like fire in your ovaries. Somebody's feeling like a fire energy in your ovaries right now.
Yeah.
So just take a deep breath. It's like some of the ladies are being called through this frequency, and there's the activation happening in your DNA to connect with the goddess that you really are.
Mm.
And it's it's like to really allow a deeper relationship and intimacy with your womb, and to live your life from that place, from that energy, from that space. It's not the same living just from the programs of our minds or what you learn in school or college or blah blah blah, to living from your heart, from your body, from your womb, as a woman in this case. And I know that some people still hold a lot of shame, and there are a lot of sexual traumas, and we are being called even to connect with our bodies in such intimate ways, with your vagina, with your penis, with your testicles, with your breasts, with just every part of your being, because every part of your body holds memory. And the process that I see this group and also a lot of people in the collective is that our consciousness is calling us into healing our sexual traumas and healing sexual misery and healing a lot of programmings that we learn even from porn or from um, kids at school, that was like what sexuality looked like. And I had no freaking idea was it was gonna take this direction. And because of that, it caused a lot of patterns of isolation and loneliness, like you're somebody saying like that. And a
Mm,
lot of that is connected. Thank you for bringing that up to religion. There's a lot of programs of shame that came through religion and through the lineages and to just generationally that ancestral trauma. So
right.
there's a lot of ancestral trauma that is being called into healing, transmutation, integration. So more of who you really are can flourish, basically.
Love
Yeah.
it.
So that's some of the activations that I'm seeing.
Thank you so much for that, Jean Carlo. So much to unpack. As we've shared often before, I love going back and watching some of these episodes and in peeling off another layer of what's being shared and here activated within everyone today. I just love that. I put your link. You see it scrolling down the bottom. It's also in the comments as well as the show notes. Let everybody know where they can find you and what you're working on right now for future, Giancarlo.
You can find me in Hawaii on the beach. Yeah, yeah. I wish. Coming soon. Coming soon.
Coming soon
I was
on the
in,
next episode
yeah,
of the Breakthrough
yeah. On the next episode of Breakthrough
Show.
from Hawaii.
Yeah, live.
Yeah. I was in, you're so welcome, Teresa. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And thank you, everybody. I deeply
Mm,
appreciate you. Um, Last night, I was having the remembrance, and I wa- and it's still in the process of integrating what I'm seeing, that my sessions and my retreats and my mission is gonna more like me bringing a group of people and swimming with dolphins and swimming with whales and swimming with sharks, and then there's gonna be a lot of activations that are not necessarily even just gonna happen like the way I channel them, are gonna happen directly in their own bodies when they are in the water and when they are in the same energy field of dolphins and whales and sharks and
mm.
turtles in the coral reef. So thank you, babe. I love you, papi chulo. So it's gonna be super different than what it looks like right now. And part of me is like, oh my gosh. And right now, yeah, it's gonna have a lot of shamanic, because I'm also very shamanic, and I'm being trained as a Kambo facilitator
Mm,
and even Hape facilitator, that are indigenous medicines, and even the Kambo is a frog poison from the frog, that you get some burns in certain area of your body where you are guided intuitively by yourself or the facilitator, and then you place in those little spots the frog medicine. My partner
mm.
Devan and I experienced two Kambos ceremonies, by the way, for my birthday in
Wow.
2023. It was really powerful,
Yeah.
and the amount of clarity, and just I felt so grounded, because it's not psychedelic like ayahuasca. It's not as multidimensional like with ayahuasca. And I have experienced like 3 or 4 ceremonies with ayahuasca. It was more like traveling all over the universe, seeing energy starting to butterflies and then into dolphins and then jump into another universe. Like that's more of like ayahuasca and mushrooms and those kind of medicines.
Mm,
Also, I'm very, very, very trauma informed. I'm like even though I don't have a degree, I just have been studying it and embodying it to such degrees that I'm a trauma expert. So when you come to me and when you have a session with me, there's so many tools already that I have in my toolkit, plus my intuition, and it's just really beautiful and really powerful. And I've had the honor and the privilege to work with so many coaches from all over the world, and even as you mentioned before, I am the resident healer in the Limitless Lounge, which is a beautiful global business community that is also very multidimensional, and that where people come to learn the strategies and also the energetics
mm.
for a really powerful embodiment, business, finances, just every area. So if
Love
you
it.
like to know more about that, send me a message.
Yes, yes, yes. We have Jean Carlo's link, like I said, in the comments, in the description, and all that good stuff. So you can connect with him anywhere you see fit. Any of your questions. We are out of time for today. However, you're going to get to see more of Jean Carlo on his brand new show that's going to be premiering on Wednesday, July 17th, 2024. Where, my friends? Right here on the
Woo,
Breakthrough Show
woo.
Network. Yes. So definitely tune in for that. Save the date. Thank you so much, my friend, for this beautiful conversation. I really appreciate your time and value your insights today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. What an inspiring and transformative conversation we have had today with Jean Carlo. The journey from the challenges of homelessness to becoming a global healer and multidimensional entrepreneur is truly remarkable. Jean Carlo's story reminds us of the power of resilience, of passion, and of purpose. Thank you, Jean Carlo, again for sharing your journey with us and being such an inspiring guest. And I want to remind you that our next episode next Friday is going to be a really special one as we are celebrating the 6th birthday of the Breakthrough Show Network. So we're going to be looking back, tune in for some exciting reflections on our journey so far. And until then, I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I want to thank you all so much for being here today and remind you to make every day a great day for a breakthrough. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.